Okay. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Brent Phillips. I'm a Winnebago County Sheriff's Policeman Deputy, if you want to. I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit about DUI. I'm going to start with the serious one that I had. This was a couple years ago. Hopefully it won't be this stern the whole way through. But one of the very first DUIs I had was, it was on the northwest part of the county, and I was about a year in. I really didn't take DUI too seriously. It was just something that, you know, if I got him, I would just deal with. But this was what kind of opened my eye to DUI. I was driving, it was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was driving around Old River Road, and I saw a guy that worked for a cable company. He was out on a pole working at night. Well, I stopped and talked to him for a few minutes, and he was just talking about working late, and I worked late, so we kind of had a connection of, you know, working late and nights, you know. So I went a couple blocks away, and I was doing some paperwork, and I'd say about 10 or 15 minutes later, I got a call to meet at the intersection I just had been out talking to this guy. So I get there, and I see this this red Pontiac Sunfire, and it was, all the wheels were spinning on it, and some young female was driving it, and she had hit the guy that was the pedestrian, and it was snowy, it was wintertime, it was around December 21st or something. Well, she hit him, and he had trapped him underneath the snow. So I got up to her, and I got her out of the car because she was pushing him further into the snow. So I get down underneath, and I am trying to scoop the snow away from him. He's pinned underneath it, he can't breathe. And I'm trying with my bare hands to get all the snow out. After about it seemed like an hour, but it was probably more like 3 to 5 minutes of me trying to get all the snow away from him so he could get some room to breathe. I realized that it was dire, that there was no way of doing it. The snow was too impacted. It was kind of like a culvert where the hard ground was further beneath the snow than just a flat surface. So all the snow that the road had been plowed all went into this giant ditch, which he was in. So there was about, you know, up to my knees in snow. So I sat there with him, and as I was trying to get it out, I knew I had no chance. So I just held his hand and watched him die from suffocation from the pressure of the car and the snow and all that. So he died, and I arrested her for DUI, and she was 19, and it was her third DUI, and she was on probation for DUI already, and I took her in custody, and eventually, after I arrested her, the charges got dropped. It was some technicality that with which direction his truck was facing and which direction she was driving. But she eventually got off of the charges, and I think she served maybe 8 months off of the probation violation, and then she got released. And he was 25, and he had a 8-month-old daughter and a young wife, and they were about to celebrate the child's first Christmas. And that was one of the things that kind of made me look at DUI differently, as not just, okay, I'm going to get some people that had too much to drink. Instead of that, it's, if I arrest 300 people for DUI, if one of those saved, you know, a parent from a kid or a kid for their parent, then that makes a world of difference to me. So that's kind of a sad one. Sorry to introduce you guys to me. I'm not usually that stern or that serious, but that's one. When everybody asks about DUI, that's the first one that comes to my mind. That's the most the most up forward in my brain one. On a lighter note, I guess. On a lighter note, I've had very many funny ones. Obviously, when you're drinking, you're not yourself. I guess you know, you have a hard time with memory, with coordination, with your bodily fluids. So you know, it's gonna be funny stuff. You know, people, when they drink, they usually become so self-indulgent that, you know, that they're, you know, on top of the world, and the stuff that they say, because they don't think that they're doing anything wrong. They'll talk about, you know, how awesome they are, how many push-ups they could do more than you, and how they make what I make a year in a week. And, you know, it might be true, I don't really care about that. They're not holding it back. They're going to tell you exactly what they think. Some of the funny ones, DUIs I've had a guy that I saw him pushing his car down North Main. He's pushing it, and I stop him and I ask him if he needs any help. And when I get out of the car, I just get this punch in the face of pure alcohol. It just punches you right in the gut if you're not drinking. If I'm out at the bar, I don't smell it on people. But if you're out and, you know, you're working and you're not drinking, you smell it. And so I'm talking to him, and I ask him, I go, well, have you had anything to drink? And he just looks at me, and he goes, no. And as he's looking at me, I see this discoloration in his jeans. And the discoloration starts to spread, and spread, and spread, and spread. So he turns around, it's coming if he's got a driver's license, and the back of his jeans was just as bad, all around his butt. Poor guy, but yeah, he was wasted. He was like a .2 or something, and you know, I've had ones where this woman, she was parked on the road and she had her foot on the brake, and I walk up to her, as somebody called it in as her being on the road with her foot on the brake, and as I walk up to her, she's in the car, and she's got her foot on the brake, and she's just sitting there while the car's idle. Now the whole car is just tore up from both sides. The mirrors are gone. It's a minivan, and it was a handicapped minivan too. So at first I thought it may have been, you know, somebody with like like diabetes or something. Not the case, because it was her mom's. Poor mom, you know, she doesn't have a minivan to get around. But so she had this thing. There was grass like all over it, and a mailbox was sitting on the hood. And she had her foot on the brake, and I put the car, I reach in, I'm like, I'm not slapping her, but I'm like, you know, push her, like, wake up, you know. And she wouldn't wake up, so I didn't want her to let go and to, like, freak out, and then us go for a ride and, like, run into a mailbox, you know, with me on a car. So I reach in and I put it into park, like, you know, the standard old park thing. And, you know, I finally wake her up, and I go, what are you doing? And she's like, what are you talking about? And I go, do you have your driver's license? And she looks up at me, you know, she's passed out, and she looks at me, she goes, I don't drive. Just like that. And again, like another one, just, you know, it's just when they're so wasted that they can't even function. You know, that's the ones that, you know, you really got to worry about, but all kinds of just silly people. But I got to run, I got to call, so you guys take care, and, you know, nobody's saying not to drink and drive, but if you're to a point where you aren't sure, then, you know, have somebody, you know, pick you up or something. I've picked up Stephanie here from, I think it was Cousins or something. I picked you guys up in my truck. There was no room in it, but I know everybody says, you know, to have a designated driver, but I do it. I don't drink hardly ever anymore, but when I do, I get treated like a king. I got a guy out of a DUI, what was it, about 2 months ago. It was his bachelor party, and they were all hammered, and I wasn't, and I ended up driving, and we got pulled over, and I was like a .02 or something, and I got free. Well, I'm not going to tell you where we went after that, but it was $20 worth of something that they hooked me up with. But we got, you know, they treated me to dinner and all that stuff. So sometimes they try that works too. But just definitely think about what can happen. You know, whose life you can change. So just be careful out there and behave.
Thank
I gotta
you.
run. See ya.